Paul wrote letters while he was in prison. He also wrote letters when he wasn't in prison. Paul wrote lots of letters. We don't know exactly how many he wrote, but 13 of his letters are in the Bible, and we can read them whenever we want. Let's take a look at them. Romans is Paul's longest letter. It was written to the Christians in Rome to explain how the world is broken and how Jesus came to fix it. If you want to learn what Christians believe, the book of Romans is a great place to start. 1st and 2nd Corinthians are 2 letters written to the Christians in the city of Corinth. Corinth was a big city with mean people, and some of the meanness was creeping into the church. So in his letters, Paul reminded the Corinthians how Christians should live. Live like this, not like that. Don't be mean. Paul explained what real Christian love looks like. Not the mushy-gushy kind you see on TV. Christian love is patient and kind and puts other people first. Galatians and Ephesians are letters written to the churches in Galatia and Ephesus. Galatians explains how Christians are free from the Jewish law. Remember all the laws about what to eat and how to dress? The laws practiced so carefully by the Pharisees? Paul wrote in Galatians that Jesus freed us from those laws. Instead, Jesus asks us to love God and love others. Having a heart that loves God and loves others is much more important than what we eat and what we wear. Ephesians talks all about reconciliation. Reconciliation is a fancy word that means to fix a broken relationship. Remember Adam and Eve? Their relationship with God was broken by sin. Our relationship with God is broken by sin too. That's what Jesus came to fix. Paul says, Jesus came to reconcile the whole world to God and to help us reconcile with each other. Fixing broken relationships is really important to God. Philippians is a letter all about joy. When he thought about God's love, Paul was so happy he couldn't stop smiling, even though he was in prison. God showed Paul how to be happy no matter what was going on in his life. Wouldn't you like to have joy like Paul? Reading Philippians is a good place to start. Colossians is a letter Paul wrote to fix some of the bad teaching that was popping up in the church in a city called Colossae. Sometimes people got confused about how to follow Jesus or about who God is and what he wants from us. So Paul wrote letters to remind them. 1st and 2nd Thessalonians are letters written to the Christians in Thessalonica. Some of the Christians there were confused about Jesus coming back. When would he return? What would it be like? Paul wrote to encourage them that Jesus would come back someday to make everything right and good, even though we didn't know when. 1st and 2nd Timothy and Titus are letters written to 2 young men, Timothy and Titus, who were learning how to lead churches and be pastors. Paul wrote to give them lots of advice. He told Timothy to always trust in God and to run away from evil. He told Titus to be honest, so he would set a good example for others. And finally, Philemon is a tiny little letter written to a man named, you guessed it, Philemon. Philemon had a servant named Onesimus, who ran away from Philemon and took some things that didn't belong to him. Onesimus had met Paul and had become a follower of Jesus. Paul helped Philemon and Onesimus reconcile or fix their broken relationship. He asked Philemon to forgive Onesimus and take him back, not as a servant, but as a brother in Jesus. No matter what you're going through in your life, Paul's letters can help you. From how to live worthy of Jesus to how to stand up for Jesus when it's hard. There's encouragement and instruction in these 13 letters for everyone.